बारे में कुछ भी बताना is just like showing a lamp to the sun, because he is the person who is holding 43 years of experience. And to just say a few words, after having passed LLB from Punjab University, Chandigarh in year 1974, Sir had joined Himachal Pradesh Judicial Services in year 1976 and served there for about 35 years and retired as a district and session judge. During this period, Sir served in higher judicial services for more than 12 years as an additional district session judge and district and sessions judge. Sir also served for about 4 years as a registrar vigilance, which is a highly responsible administrative post in Himachal Pradesh High Court. After his retirement from judicial services in Himachal Pradesh, he was appointed as a faculty member in Chandigarh Judicial Services by High Court of Punjab and Haryana, where he worked for more than 3 years. And during this period, Sir taught more than 400 judicial officers of Punjab and Haryana states. His contribution of teaching there, he was awarded by Justice A.K. Sikri of Supreme Court of India. Thereafter, the Punjab and Haryana High Court appointed Sir as a chairman of Permanent Lok Adalat Public Utility Service Chandigarh for the 5 years. So Sir has this vast experience of 5 years, which he will be in few minutes discussing, he will be sharing with us. During that period, Sir decided thousands of cases, and Sir also delivered lectures to several hundred law students from various universities during their internship. So we can say that this 43 years journey of this great personality, I think each moment is full of experience, and I think that it would be injustice to be there in between Sir and my students. Sir, we are really very fortunate to have such an experienced person with us, who has not only have experience in arena of judicial services, but who is also a great academician who prepared so many judges and the law students and motivated so many law students in their careers. So, Sir, with these words, I welcome you to illuminate these young budding lawyers with your precious words. Over to you, sir.
Thank you, Mr. Sunil Kumar. I am privileged to be with all of you of this university and others. I am thankful for the same, and I would now switch over to our today's topic with respect to free legal aid services. You know, our Article 39A of the Indian Constitution was provided to look after the welfare of the downtrodden people who are financially or otherwise backward and are disabled, unable to fight their cases in the courts of law. To provide them legal aid, free legal aid also, various laws were enacted under this article. In 1987, State Legal Service Authorities Act was enacted by the Union Parliament, And in this act, various provisions were included for the welfare of these downtrodden people who are financially backward or who were suffering from some disabilities due to which they were unable to get justice, which was the fundamental right of the citizens. Therefore, we have to look to the provisions of this act for enjoying the benefits so that the poor people do not lag behind in getting justice from the courts of law. Firstly, I would deal with the eligibility criteria as to who is eligible to get free legal aid from the authorities. Firstly, Section 12 of this Act deals with the eligibility criteria, which says the persons who are financially backward, whose annual income is less than a particular limit fixed by each state, they will be entitled for getting free legal aid. For example, in the state of Punjab, earlier this limit used to be 1 lakh rupees annual income. If it is less than 1 lakh rupees, they were entitled to get free legal aid in case they were to file a case or to defend a case. It's not only a plaintiff or a petitioner who would get the relief under this. Only also the person who is to defend himself or who is to act as a defendant, he will also be provided this kind of aid. So firstly, the persons who are poor, having annual income up to a particular limit. Some states have fixed it 3 lakh rupees, somewhere it is 2 lakh rupees, somewhere it is 5 also. So in order to show that their income is this much, no lengthy procedure is required to be adopted. Earlier, the application moved by such person used to be sent by the competent authority to the Patwari or the revenue authorities to find out his source of income so that he may not be misusing or his source of income may be more than that limit. But now, to avoid that complicated and lengthy procedure, now an affidavit is sufficient. If the litigant files an affidavit along with an application that my income is this much, prima facie that will be accepted. No further investigation would be required unless there is some doubt or there is some complaint against him. So normally affidavit is enough with respect to your income and then free legal. Then next is scheduled caste and scheduled tribes who are the members of these two. They are entitled for free legal aid irrespective of their amount which they earn. They may be earning lakhs of rupees every year or thousands of rupees or crores of rupees, but they will be provided this legal aid for their being members of the scheduled caste or scheduled tribe community. For this again, they have to attach a certificate showing them to be a member of scheduled caste or scheduled tribe along with their application seeking free legal aid. Then we have women. Any woman, irrespective of any income, is entitled to get free legal aid. No bar of optimum annual income. She again may be earning 50 lakh, 60 lakh per year. She is entitled being a woman. Similarly, a child who is below 18 years, a minor, he is entitled to get free legal aid irrespective of his income. It's a great privilege to all these because of their being suffering from some disabilities of the one or the other kind. Then we have prisoners, those who are prisoners lodged in the jails or even in the mental hospitals or in the juvenile homes. They are also entitled for free legal aid irrespective of their income. Again, it has to be mentioned in their application that we are detained here, and for that there is no difficulty in proving because the jail record or the record of the hospital, mental hospital or the juvenile home, etc. can be obtained easily, no problem for that. Then we have the persons who have suffered from some disasters, say floods, drought, volcanoes, or this drought, these kind of natural calamities he has suffered from, he is also entitled irrespective of his income. Then we have another group of persons who are entitled for it. They are industrial workmen. Industrial workmen are also entitled to have free legal aid under this scheme. And again, of course, income bar is no bar for these kind of workers to get the free legal aid. Then we have another criteria that the litigant who wants to have legal aid either to prosecute his case or to defend his case, he must have a prima facie case. He cannot be allowed to given a free legal aid just on frivolous matters. If there are no merits in the case apparently, then he cannot be, because it is public money. It can't be allowed to be wasted on frivolous litigation which has no basis or no merits apparent. If somebody says, I want to buy Taj Mahal from Government of India, but they are not selling, and he files a case, he cannot be provided legal aid for this kind of. Or he says, I want to prosecute the President of India. So these are all frivolous and no legal aid would be provided. Public funds are involved, so these have to be spent with caution. Then there are authorities. Who are the authorities to whom such application should be moved, and who are those members of those committees or those authorities who are to decide such application? At district level, there is a District Legal Service Authority enacted under this Act of 1987. This authority is headed by the respective district and session judge of that district. And members are usually Deputy Commissioner, Superintendent of Police, District Attorney, Bar President, and Chief Judicial Magistrate of that district is the member secretary of this committee. Application is moved to them, they consider it, and then if they find some merits in this, they allow the application and provide free legal aid to the litigant who has applied for it. Then there is a panel of lawyers. The chairman of the Legal Service Authority, they have a panel in which lawyers who are willing to work under this scheme, their names are there. They are from different fields. Some are expert of civil law, some may be expert of criminal law or taxation law or anything. Then those lawyers, depending upon the nature of the case, the lawyer is selected and he is provided. Now, what are the facilities? Besides legal aid or providing the lawyer, even all the expenses which are to be borne by the litigant for defending or prosecuting the case, just like, say, expenses to be spent on the summoning of or paying diet money or witness to the witnesses, then summoning the parties. Say, in case some local commissioner is to be appointed, then local commissioner fee is also to be provided by the legal aid committee. Every kind of expense, even court fees, other charges, drafting of the plaintiff's written statements, all these expenses are to be borne by the Legal Service Authority so that the litigant does not have to pay from his pocket and he can freely go for it. We know our system, judicial system, is suffering from so many drawbacks. It's highly time consuming, it's highly expensive also. So this kind of privilege is made under the Legal Service Authorities Act 1987 as per the directions or directive principles given in Article 39A of the Indian Constitution. Then we have to see that how much is the fees to be paid for all kinds of cases. In fact, it is the number of dates which a litigant has to face or attend in the court. More the number of dates, then more fees has to be. But there is a cap. A higher limit is fixed; it can't be changed, and therefore this scheme is providing good relief to the litigants who can't bear the expenses of litigation because of their poverty or because of certain kind of disabilities, as mentioned by earlier. Then we have, besides it, at state level, we have legal services committees. In the High Court, if somebody has to file a case or defend a case, then there is a legal service committee Free Legal Service Committee, which is headed by a High Court judge, and its secretary is one of the registrars working in that High Court. Similarly, in Supreme Court, there is a judge of the Supreme Court and one secretary, registrar rank, who helps the judge of the High Court in deciding such like applications. And free legal aid is provided for Supreme Court cases, for High Court cases, and District Court cases. Even at subdivision level, we have such committees. The senior most judicial officer posted in that subdivision is the in charge of this committee, and then there are other members nominated, sometimes DSP, SDM, the APP prosecutor there, bar president, they are all members of the society, and they look after such applications and decide as per their satisfaction. So this is the setup of the legal aid committees at different levels, and the lawyers are provided. Besides fee of the lawyers, I have told you court fees, other charges, all kind which are to be spent in the litigation are borne by the state. There is a fund for that at the district level also, state level also, not only in the civil or criminal courts, even in other forums, just like permanent Lok Adalat or consumer forum, debt recovery tribunals. All these forums are also providing legal aid. Generally, they refer such applications to the District Legal Service Authority if the forum is of district level. If the forum is of state level, say Consumer Commission at state level, then the application is referred to the member secretary of the Legal Service Authority of that state. They decide it and provide legal aid. So at all these, nowhere poor litigant can be forced to fight at his own expense. This is a great privilege which we people need to, in fact, highlight. Presently, I find there is not much sensitization about all these schemes, welfare schemes of the government, and due to which many people suffer. They do not approach with the requisite request for providing legal aid. So we have to see, and we have to make it more public on TVs or other by holding camps, etc. Then we have been holding free legal aid camps. This is a great service to enhance the knowledge, especially with respect to legal rights of the rural people in different institutions, different schools, and women especially. We try to provide them with their legal rights. Knowledge is provided so that they can be more literate about their legal rights, which is a great facility again. Then we have legal clinics opened at various places. Free legal aid is provided to any litigant who comes there, who wants to file a case or who wants to defend a case. So we have a set of lawyers there. They provide such legal aid or legal help. The legal, legal knowledge to those litigants about their forthcoming cases whenever they have to. So these all schemes are very useful and helpful, and maximum benefit should be utilized, should be taken from such schemes. So spreading the outcomes or benefits of such schemes should be the priority, because presently it is not that much popular. Though various efforts have been made by our legal authorities, constitutional authorities, parliament and state assemblies also. So we have to see how it should be published much more in depth and details.